The winter morning was colder than usual. A light fog covered the schoolyard, and children hurried to their classes with scarves wrapped around their necks. Among them was a little boy named Arjun. He was small, quiet, and carried a red scarf that his late father had once given him. To Arjun, the scarf was not just a piece of cloth but a memory of love and warmth. He wore it every day, no matter the weather. His mother, Mira, stood near the gate, watching her son walk inside. She was a strict woman with a sharp voice, but beneath that firmness lived a heart that carried many burdens. Since her husband had passed away, she had struggled to raise Arjun alone. She worked long hours and wanted her son to be strong, confident, and careful. Perhaps that was why she reacted quickly whenever something felt out of place. That morning, as Arjun walked into the hall, the scarf slipped from his neck and fell near the stairwell. He was too distracted talking with his classmate Rohan to notice. The scarf rested quietly on the floor until an old janitor named Ravi saw it while sweeping. Ravi bent down slowly, his back stiff from years of work. His hands were rough, but he picked up the scarf with gentle care, as though he was holding something precious. At that exact moment, Mira entered the hall, looking for Arjun to wave him goodbye one last time before heading to work. Her eyes fell on Ravi holding the scarf. From a distance, it appeared as though the janitor was taking it away. Without thinking, she stormed forward. "Why are you holding my son's scarf?" Mira's voice echoed loudly through the corridor. A few students turned their heads. Teachers passing by paused. The old janitor froze in his place, surprised by her sudden anger. Ravi straightened his back slowly and looked at her. His eyes were calm, though his face showed years of struggle. "It was on the floor, madam. I only picked it up so it would not get dirty," he said softly. But Mira's frustration had already taken over. "This scarf is important to my son. You should not touch what belongs to him. If he had lost it, I would have told him to be careful. But why are you handling it as if it belongs to you?" Her words were sharp, cutting through the air. Arjun, hearing his mother's raised voice, came running back. He saw Ravi holding the scarf, and for a moment, he felt confused. He knew Ravi as the quiet man who cleaned the halls every day, never speaking much, never disturbing anyone. He had often seen Ravi smiling faintly at the children, but never interfering. Ravi looked down at Arjun, then back at Mira. His lips trembled slightly, as if carrying a story that had been hidden for a long time. He held out the scarf toward the boy and whispered in a voice so low that only Mira, standing close, could hear. "He reminds me of Daddy." Mira froze. Her anger stopped like a flame suddenly blown out by the wind. The janitor's words pierced through her pride and confusion. She looked at Ravi with new eyes, trying to understand. What did he mean by that? Why would her son, a small boy in primary school, remind this old man of someone he called Daddy? For a few moments, silence filled the hall. Children hurried past without noticing the tension, while a teacher gently guided a group of students to their classroom. Mira's heart raced. She wanted to demand an answer, but something in Ravi's trembling voice made her pause. Arjun took the scarf from Ravi's hands and wrapped it back around his neck. He smiled shyly at the janitor, as if sensing kindness behind his tired eyes. "Thank you," the boy said softly before running to join his class. Mira stood still, her mind heavy with questions. Who was Ravi really? Why did he speak those words? What connection could he possibly feel toward her son? Ravi returned to his broom and bucket, his face turned away, as if he had already said too much. But Mira's curiosity had been stirred. The scarf was just a scarf, yet to her son it was everything. And now, a stranger had looked at it with the same care, speaking of a memory that seemed far too personal. As she left the school that morning, her steps were slower than usual. The echo of the janitor's whisper followed her like a shadow. "He reminds me of Daddy." What did that mean? And why did his voice sound as though it carried both love and sorrow? The day had just begun, but Mira knew her life had taken a turn she could not ignore. Something hidden was waiting to be uncovered, and the old janitor seemed to be the key. The rest of the day passed slowly for Mira. At her office desk, she found herself reading the same file again and again, unable to focus. The janitor's words echoed in her mind like a quiet drum beat. She had always kept her distance from people at the school. She believed her role as a mother was to protect Arjun, not to open doors to strangers. But the way Ravi had whispered those words, "He reminds me of Daddy," kept pulling her thoughts back. During her lunch break, she called the school office. She told herself it was just curiosity, nothing more. "Can you tell me a little about the janitor named Ravi?" she asked the clerk casually. The clerk hesitated. "He has been here for many years, madam. Quiet man. Comes early, leaves late. Does his work well. Never causes trouble. Does he have family?" Mira asked. "I don't know much," the clerk admitted. "He rarely talks. Lives alone, I think. But he is respected here. Even the principal says he is a man of dignity despite his hard life." Mira ended the call, her mind even more restless. Why would a man who lived in silence suddenly whisper something so personal to her? And why about Arjun? That evening, when Mira picked Arjun up, she watched carefully. She saw Ravi sweeping the far end of the courtyard. His steps were slow, but there was a quiet rhythm to his movements. He looked up once, saw Arjun laughing with his friend, and smiled faintly. It was not the smile of a stranger, it carried warmth, almost as if he had known the boy for years. On the way home, Mira asked, "Arjun, do you know that janitor? The old man who cleans the halls?" Arjun nodded. "Yes, Mama. His name is Ravi. He always smiles when I walk by. One time I dropped my notebook, and he gave it back. He never talks much, but he is nice." "Did he ever say anything strange to you?" Mira asked carefully. Arjun shook his head. "No. Just good morning sometimes." Mira stayed quiet. She wanted to leave it there, but her heart kept urging her to dig deeper. That night, after putting Arjun to bed, she sat by the window and looked at the scarf hanging on the chair. It had once belonged to her husband, Dev. He had worn it every winter, and after his passing, she gave it to Arjun so that he could feel close to his father. That scarf carried not just warmth but memory, love, and sorrow. When Ravi had held it, his expression was not that of a stranger touching cloth. It was as though he held a piece of someone he knew. The thought unsettled her. The next morning, Mira went to the school earlier than usual. She wanted to see Ravi before the day began. She found him in the courtyard, watering the small flower beds near the wall. His posture was bent, but his movements were patient, almost tender, as he poured water on each plant. "Ravi," she called softly. He turned, surprised. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, silence filled the space between them. "Yesterday," she began, her voice firm but controlled, "you said something to me. About my son. I want to know what you meant." Ravi put the watering can down. He wiped his hands on his old cloth and sighed. "Madam, I should not have said anything. Forgive me. It was only a thought from my heart." "That is not enough," Mira pressed. "You said he reminds you of Daddy. Who's Daddy? Why would my child remind you of anyone in your family?" Ravi looked down at the soil, his face heavy with memories. For a long moment, he did not speak. Then, slowly, he said, "Many years ago, I worked in another city. I had a brother named Dev. He was younger than me but stronger, braver. He called me Biya, and I called him my little brother. We were close. Very close. But life separated us. I came here searching for work, and he stayed behind. I lost contact. I heard later, he passed away. Mira's breath caught. The name struck her like lightning. Dev? Your brother's name was Dev? Ravi nodded. His eyes were moist. Yes. My little brother. He was everything to me. When I saw your boy holding that red scarf, I felt something inside me break. Because Dev had one just like it? I remembered him at once. And when I looked at your son, I saw Dev's eyes. The same spark, the same gentleness. Mira's hands trembled. Could it be true? Could this quiet janitor really be the brother of her late husband? She wanted to deny it, to believe it was just coincidence, but deep inside, something told her his words carried truth. My husband's name was Dev, she whispered. He had a red scarf. And he passed away 5 years ago. Ravi closed his eyes, his shoulders shaking. Then it is true. Your Dev was my Dev. My brother. And that boy, he is my nephew. The courtyard was still. The morning bell had not yet rung. Mira stood frozen, staring at the man she had scolded so harshly the day before. He was not a stranger after all. He was family. A missing piece of the past had suddenly appeared in front of her, carrying both pain and hope. And now, she had to decide what to do with this truth. The school bell rang, and children began filling the courtyard. The air was full of laughter and hurried footsteps, but Mira stood still, her eyes fixed on Ravi. The truth he had revealed was heavy, almost unbelievable. For years she had thought Dev's family was gone or far away. He had never spoken much about his elder brother, only once or twice in passing. And now, this man, the janitor she had scolded, stood before her claiming to be that very brother. Her heart wrestled between doubt and belief. But the way Ravi had spoken Dev's name, the tears in his eyes, and the way he had recognized the scarf, those were things that could not be faked. Why did you never come before? Mira asked, her voice a mix of confusion and pain. If you are his brother, why did you not come when he was alive? Why did you not come when he passed away? Ravi lowered his gaze. His rough hands twisted together, as though trying to hold his sorrow. I did not know, madam. I searched for him when I came back to the city, but by then it was too late. People told me nothing clear. I thought maybe he had moved away. It was only when I came here, and saw that scarf, that I understood the truth. Mira felt tears rise in her eyes, but she held them back. She was a woman who had taught herself to be strong. For years she had lived without help, raising Arjun on her own. To suddenly face someone who claimed to be family shook the walls she had built around herself. Arjun came running across the courtyard just then, his red scarf fluttering behind him. Mama, are you coming? He asked cheerfully, not noticing the tension between the two adults. Mira quickly nodded. Go inside, Arjun. I'll see you after school. The boy ran off, leaving the scarf trailing in the wind. Ravi's eyes followed him with deep affection. Later that day, after work, Mira could not rest. She replayed the conversation in her mind. Ravi's words had been simple, but they carried weight. Was it right to keep Arjun away from him? Or was it wrong to let a boy grow without knowing his father's side of the family? That evening, she made a decision. The next morning, instead of rushing off after dropping Arjun, she waited near the gate. When Ravi appeared with his broom and bucket, she called him quietly. I want to talk, she said. Ravi nodded. Yes, madam. Stop calling me madam, she said firmly. If what you say is true, then we are connected. My name is Mira. Use that. Ravi's lips trembled, and for the first time, a faint smile appeared on his tired face. Thank you, Mira. They sat on a bench under the banyan tree in the schoolyard, away from the crowd. Mira asked him many questions about Dev's childhood, about their parents, about why the brothers had grown apart. Ravi answered each patiently, his voice carrying both pride and regret. He spoke of how Dev had been the spirited one, always full of energy, always dreaming big. He spoke of their mother's cooking, of their father's old bicycle, of the nights when the brothers would sit under the stars and make promises to each other. As Mira listened, memories of her late husband came flooding back. The small details matched perfectly the way Dev would whistle when he worked, the way he loved feeding birds, the way he wore that red scarf on cold evenings. There was no doubt left in her heart. This man truly was Dev's brother. Still, a question burned inside her. Why do you work here as a janitor? You are educated, I can hear it in your words. Why this life? Ravi's eyes clouded with sadness. Life does not always give what we expect. I worked in many places, but luck never stayed with me. This school gave me a chance when I had nothing. So I clean, I sweep, I water the plants. It may not be much, but it is honest work. And in this silence, I remember my brother. Mira felt a tug in her heart. She had once judged him harshly, thinking he was just an old man meddling in her son's life. But now she saw the truth. Behind the broom and bucket lived a man carrying both loss and love. The conversation stretched until the school bell rang again. Children filled the grounds, and Arjun ran toward them. He stopped when he saw Ravi sitting beside his mother. His young eyes were curious. "Mama, why are you talking with him?" Arjun asked. Mira looked at her son, then at Ravi. She hesitated for a moment, then spoke gently. "Arjun, this man is not just the janitor. He is someone special. He is your uncle. He is your father's brother." Arjun blinked, surprised. His small hands clutched the scarf around his neck. "Uncle," he whispered, the word strange on his tongue. Ravi smiled through his tears. "Yes, little one. I am your uncle. And you remind me so much of your daddy." Arjun studied him for a long moment, then gave a shy smile. "Then you can sit with us, uncle." The words were simple, but they broke years of silence and loneliness. For Ravi, it was like a door had finally opened. And for Mira, it was the beginning of something she had never expected, family returning when she had thought it was gone forever. The days that followed carried a new feeling in Mira's life. For years she had walked a straight road home, office, school, back home again. It had been a life of duty, not choice. But now the presence of Ravi, the quiet janitor who was in truth her late husband's brother, had changed that road. It was as if another lane had opened beside her, leading to memories she thought were lost forever. Arjun was the happiest of them all. The idea of having an uncle filled him with wonder. Every afternoon when Mira came to pick him up, he would run to Ravi first, showing him drawings, telling him small stories from class, or simply standing near him as he worked. Ravi never tired of listening. His eyes shone with pride, though he often wiped them quickly so no one would notice. One evening, as they walked home, Arjun tugged at his mother's hand. "Mama, can uncle come to our house? He can have dinner with us. We can show him daddy's photo album." Mira hesitated. She had guarded her home carefully since Dev's passing. Very few visitors had crossed its door. But when she looked into her son's eager eyes, she could not refuse. "Yes, Arjun. We can invite him." That weekend, Ravi came to their modest apartment. He wore a clean shirt that was slightly faded but neatly pressed. He carried a small packet of sweets, the kind children loved. Arjun welcomed him with open arms and led him straight to the living room, where the photographs of Dev rested in frames on the wall. Ravi stood silently before them. His hand reached out, trembling, and touched the edge of a frame where Dev's young smile was captured. "My little brother," he whispered, his voice breaking. "So many years, and I could not even say goodbye." Mira watched quietly, her heart softening more than she expected. The grief in Ravi's voice was genuine, and it reminded her of her own lonely nights when she had cried in silence. For the first time, she felt she was not alone in that sorrow. At dinner, they spoke of Dev. Ravi shared stories from their childhood, how Dev once climbed a mango tree and refused to come down until Ravi promised him half his sweets, how he would sing loudly at night to annoy the neighbors, how he once saved a stray puppy and kept it hidden in their room for days. Arjun laughed at each story, his eyes shining as though he was discovering a new side of the father he barely remembered. Meera listened too, smiling through her tears. She had her own memories of Dev, but hearing the old ones, the ones before she had known him, made her feel closer to him again. After dinner, when Arjun went to bed, Meera and Ravi sat with cups of tea. The silence between them was not heavy now, it was gentle, like two rivers flowing side by side. "I must thank you," Ravi said softly. "For letting me sit here, for letting me meet him. I had thought my life would end without family. But now, I see a piece of my brother living in your son. It gives me strength." Meera nodded. "And I must thank you too. For years I carried this alone. I thought no one understood the weight. But today, it feels lighter." Ravi looked down. "Still, I am only a janitor. People may laugh that he calls me uncle. I cannot give him riches or gifts." Meera shook her head firmly. "He does not need riches. He needs love. That is something you have plenty of." Ravi's eyes glistened, and he bowed his head. The weeks that followed brought more changes. Ravi became a quiet presence in their lives. Sometimes he walked part of the way home with them. Sometimes he visited on weekends. He never overstepped, never demanded. He simply gave what he could: his time, his care, his stories. But not everyone understood. One afternoon, outside the school, Meera heard two parents whispering. "Strange, isn't it? The janitor sitting with that boy. People will talk. Yes. She should be careful. Children should not spend time with such men." The words cut her like glass. She turned quickly, her pride rising. They did not know Ravi's truth. They only saw his broom and his old clothes. They did not see the brother who had lost, the uncle who had found again. That evening, she told Ravi what she had heard. His shoulders sank. "I expected this. People will always see me as what I am on the outside. A janitor. I do not want trouble for you or the boy. If you wish, I will keep my distance." Meera's eyes flashed. "No. You are family. My son has every right to know his uncle. Let people talk. I do not care." For a moment, Ravi could not speak. His lips trembled, but he only nodded, wiping his eyes with the edge of his cloth. That night, as Arjun slept with his red scarf beside him, Meera stood by the window. The road ahead would not be easy. Society had its eyes and tongues. But she knew her choice was right. Dev's brother had returned, not as a stranger, but as a bond of love and memory. And she would not let that bond break again. The days moved forward, and slowly Ravi's presence became a natural part of Arjun's life. The boy no longer saw him as just the janitor at school. To him, Ravi was uncle, the man who told stories, the man who smiled softly, the man who listened when no one else had time. But while their little world grew warmer, the outside world grew colder. Whispers spread in the school. Some parents were uneasy, others suspicious. They did not know Ravi's truth, and they judged by his clothes, his work, and his silence. One morning, as Meera dropped Arjun at school, the principal called her to the office. She entered with a calm face, but inside, worry stirred. "Mrs. Meera," the principal began carefully, "I must speak with you about something delicate. Some parents have complained. They are uncomfortable with the closeness between your son and our janitor, Ravi." Meera stiffened. "Uncomfortable? Why? He is family. The principal adjusted his glasses. I understand you may feel that way. But from their point of view, it looks unusual. Children usually do not spend so much time with the staff. You know how people talk. I do not want the school's name to be pulled into gossip. Mira's voice grew firm. Let them talk. Ravi is my son's uncle. He has every right to know him. The principal sighed. I am not asking you to end ties. I only ask you to be careful in public. For the boy's sake, and for Ravi's. People can be unkind. Mira left the office with heavy steps. She hated how society judged by surface, not by truth. Still, she knew the principal was not entirely wrong. Children could be cruel too. Already, she had seen Arjun's classmates teasing him. That evening, when Arjun came home, he threw his bag on the floor and sat quietly. His usual cheer was gone. What happened, Arjun? Mira asked, sitting beside him. He looked down. Some boys said I sit with the janitor because I don't have a father. They laughed at me. His small voice cracked, and tears filled his eyes. I told them he is my uncle, but they didn't believe me. Mira's chest ached. She hugged him tightly. Listen to me, Arjun. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Family is family, no matter what people say. That night, Mira shared everything with Ravi. He listened quietly, his head bowed. I feared this, he whispered. The boy is too young for such pain. Maybe I should keep away. I do not want him to suffer because of me. No, Mira said firmly. You left once because life forced you. I will not let you leave again. Arjun needs you. I need you. We will face this together. For the first time, Ravi looked into her eyes with gratitude so deep it seemed endless. The next day, something unexpected happened. Arjun's teacher, Mrs. Leela, noticed him sitting alone during break. She knew of the whispers but also knew Ravi's nature. She had watched him for years. Never once had he caused trouble, never once had he been unkind. She decided to act. In class, she asked each child to bring a story about their family. When it was Arjun's turn, he stood nervously. His hands shook, but then he lifted his red scarf and spoke. This scarf was my daddy's. He gave it to me before he went away. I wear it so I can feel close to him. My daddy had a brother. His name is Ravi. He works here in school. Some of you laugh because he is a janitor. But he is my family. And family is not about what job you have. Family is about love. The room fell silent. Even the children who had teased him looked down, ashamed. Mrs. Leela clapped softly. Very well said, Arjun. We should all remember that love matters more than anything else. When Ravi heard later what Arjun had spoken, he could not hold back his tears. He bent down, hugged his nephew, and whispered, You are braver than your daddy and me both. Still, the challenge was not over. The whispers in the community reached Mira's relatives. One evening, her elder cousin came to visit. Mira, she said sharply, I heard you are letting that janitor into your house. Think of your reputation. Think of your son's future. Do you want people to say you are mixing with such men? Mira stood tall. That man is Dev's brother. He is family. My son has every right to know him. I will not close the door on him just because society cannot see past a broom. Her cousin shook her head. You are stubborn. One day you will regret this. But when the door closed, Mira felt no regret. Only resolve. For too long she had lived by silence, letting others dictate her path. Not anymore. That night, she sat with Ravi and Arjun at the dinner table. The three of them laughed, shared food, and spoke of Dev as if he were still sitting there. The scarf lay on the chair beside Arjun, glowing in the warm light. And in that moment, Mira realized something. The world might continue to whisper, but inside her home there was truth, there was love, and there was family. The bond between Arjun, Mira, and Ravi grew stronger with each passing week. Yet the outside world did not stop questioning it. Some parents avoided Ravi. Some relatives distanced themselves from Mira. It was as if the truth of family was invisible to them because of his simple clothes and humble work. One Saturday, the school organized a cultural day. Children would perform songs, plays, and dances. Parents, teachers, and guests were invited. The courtyard was decorated with flowers and colorful banners. Arjun was excited because he was chosen to narrate a small play about family values. Mira sat proudly in the front row. Ravi stood at the back, leaning on his broom as usual, quietly watching. He had refused to sit with the parents, saying, "This is your place. My place is here." But his eyes followed Arjun with love. When Arjun's turn came, he walked to the stage, holding his red scarf tightly. His voice was small at first, but then it grew steady. "A family is not about money or big houses," he said. "A family is about people who love you. My father is no longer here, but I have his scarf. And I have my mother. And I have my uncle. He works in this school. Some people laugh at him because he is a janitor. But he is brave and kind. And he is my family. I am proud of him." The audience grew quiet. Mira's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Ravi, who was standing frozen, his lips trembling. For years, he had hidden in silence, afraid of being judged. But now, a small boy had spoken his truth aloud to everyone. There was a pause, and then a few parents clapped. Soon, the entire courtyard echoed with applause. But not everyone was pleased. A tall man in the audience stood up. He was a local council member who had sponsored the school event. "This is nonsense," he said loudly. "What kind of example is this? Children praising a janitor on stage? What will they learn from this? That sweeping floors is equal to hard study." The applause faded. People shifted uncomfortably. Arjun looked frightened, but Mira quickly stood up. Her voice was steady. "There is no shame in honest work. My son is right. Family and love are more important than status. Ravi is not just a janitor. He is my husband's brother. He is my son's uncle. And today, everyone will know the truth." She turned toward Ravi. "Come here." The old man hesitated, but slowly he walked forward. His steps were shaky, yet his head was held high. When he reached the stage, Mira placed her hand on his shoulder. "This is Ravi. Years ago, he lost contact with my husband, Dev. Life separated them. By the time he returned, my husband had passed away. But fate brought him here, to this school, where he met his nephew without even knowing it at first. He may hold a broom, but he also holds memories, love, and dignity. He is part of our family." The crowd was stunned. Some whispered, some nodded. The council member frowned. "Even if he is your family, is it right for children to mix with workers like this? Where is the discipline?" At that, Ravi finally spoke. His voice was deep and steady, though full of emotion. "Discipline is not about looking down on people. It is about respect. I have cleaned these halls for years. I have seen children grow. I never asked for praise. But today, when my nephew calls me uncle, I feel richer than any man with gold." His words touched many hearts. Even some who had doubted him lowered their heads in shame. After the event, several teachers came to shake his hand. "We never knew," one said softly. "You are more than we thought." That evening, back at home, Mira prepared a simple meal. The three of them ate together, laughter returning after the tense day. But as night fell, Mira noticed Ravi sitting quietly by the window. His eyes looked far away. "What is it?" she asked. He sighed. "Today was a blessing. But it also reminded me of something. People judge too easily. And though you defended me, I do not want my nephew to always fight because of me. Perhaps one day, when he is older, he will understand better. But for now, I fear he carries too heavy a burden." Mira placed her hand on his arm. "Arjun is strong. He spoke today because he believes in you. Do not doubt his courage. And do not doubt your place in this family. You are not alone anymore." Ravi's eyes filled with tears, but he nodded. For years he had lived with guilt and silence, but now he felt something different, a sense of belonging. And in that quiet night, while Arjun slept with the scarf beside him, Mira realized the truth. The fight was not against gossip or judgment. The fight was to protect love, memory, and dignity. And that was a fight she would never lose. Winter began to soften, and the school year slowly moved toward its end. The fog that once covered the mornings was thinner, and the sun shone brighter. Yet inside Mira's heart, a different kind of warmth had begun to grow, one she had not felt since Dev had passed away. Life was not perfect. Some people still whispered. Some relatives still judged. But none of that mattered as much anymore. What mattered was the bond that had formed between her son and his uncle, and the peace it had brought to her home. Arjun seemed happier than ever. Every morning, before leaving for school, he carefully wrapped the red scarf around his neck, not just as a memory of his father but as a symbol of the family that remained. He would run to Ravi in the school courtyard, shouting, "Uncle, see my homework," or "Uncle, today I will act in the play." His laughter filled the air like a song. One evening, after dinner, Arjun brought out a small notebook. He had been writing something secretly. "Mama, Uncle, listen," he said, opening the pages. "I wrote about family for my homework." His small voice read aloud, "Family is when someone holds your hand when you are afraid. Family is when someone listens even when they are tired. Family is when someone keeps you safe even if the world is not kind. My family is my mama, my daddy in heaven, and my uncle who takes care of me. I am lucky." Mira's eyes filled with tears. Ravi wiped his face quietly with his cloth. The words of a child had said everything that adults failed to understand. But fate was not done testing them. One afternoon, a notice came from the school board. It announced that some staff, including Ravi, might lose their jobs due to budget cuts. Whispers spread quickly, and many assumed that the janitor would be among those dismissed. When Arjun heard this, he panicked. "Mama, they cannot take Uncle away. He belongs here with us." Mira calmed him, but inside, she too felt afraid. Losing Ravi from the school would not erase him from their lives, but it would change the rhythm they had built. She decided to act. On the day of the school board meeting, parents and teachers gathered. To everyone's surprise, Mira stood up. She was not a woman who often spoke in public, but her voice was clear and strong. "You speak of budget cuts," she said. "But do you know what you will cut if you send him away? You will cut loyalty, honesty, and dignity. Ravi has served this school for years with silent devotion. He has not only cleaned these halls but also carried respect for every child who walked through them. He is not just a janitor. He is part of this school's soul." She paused, then added, "And for me, he is family. For my son, he is hope. I cannot stay silent when such a man is treated as if he is replaceable. No one can replace a heart like his." Her words struck the hall with quiet power. Some nodded, some murmured. Then, unexpectedly, little Arjun stood up too. His hands shook, but his voice rang clear. "If you send my uncle away, I will miss him every day. He is the only one who tells me about my daddy. He is my family. Please don't take him." The room was silent. Even the strict faces of the board members softened. After a long discussion, the head of the board spoke. Very well. We will keep him. Some cuts may be needed, but not at the cost of a man's dignity. Applause filled the room. Arjun hugged his uncle tightly, and Meera closed her eyes in relief. That evening, back at home, Ravi sat quietly at the table. His hands shook slightly as he held the red scarf. I never thought life would give me this, he said softly. I was ready to leave the world as a lonely man. But now, I have a family again. I have a nephew who calls me uncle. I have a sister who stands by me. I have a reason to live. Meera smiled gently. And we have you. Deb may not be here, but through you, he lives again. You are not alone anymore, Ravi. None of us are. Arjun wrapped the scarf around his uncle's shoulders. Now you wear it too, uncle. Daddy gave it to me, but I want to share it with you. Ravi held the scarf tightly, his eyes wet with tears. For him, it was not just cloth. It was a bridge between past and present, between loss and love, between loneliness and family. As the night deepened, the three of them sat together in the warm glow of the lamp. The world outside might still whisper, but inside their home, there was laughter, belonging, and peace. And though Dev was gone, his memory lived in the scarf, in his son's smile, and in the brother who had finally found his way back. For the first time in many years, Meera felt whole. For the first time in many years, Ravi felt home. And for the first time in his young life, Arjun felt surrounded not just by love but by family.